Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidates interviews, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Andrea Kaminsky, and I'd like to introduce Renuka Mayadev, running for State Assembly in District 77. Welcome. As we begin, I'd like you to give an opening statement as to the educational, vocational, and civic experience that you have, which qualifies you for this office, and why you're running for the State Assembly.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea, and thanks to the League for having us today and the City of Madison. So I am Representative Renuka Mayadev. I represent the 77th Assembly District here on the west side of Madison, which includes the UW campus. And I've worked for women, children, and working families all of my career. I've worked for a Democratic governor. I've worked for the Children's Defense Fund. You may know Marion Wright Edelman was the founder of the Children's Defense Fund. I had the privilege of working for a civil rights hero. I've worked in policy, actually at the UW School of Medicine and Public Health. And I now have worked one term as a state representative. So these educational, and I'm also a lawyer. I'm actually the only lawyer in the entire assembly that's a woman. I'm the only female lawyer, which is hard to believe, but I am. And so I've studied law, I've worked in policy, I've worked on issues for women, children, and working families throughout my career. So these qualifications make me well suited to represent the 77th district and the entire state of Wisconsin. And we've done great work this year this past session that I'm really excited to share with you, Andrea.
Okay. Well, how would you like to see the state utilize the current budget surplus?
Oh, well, that's a great question. Because when we actually have dollars to support women, children, and working families, we should actually use them. So the first place I would start, which you might not be surprised about, is public schools. Our public schools have been underfunded and underserved for way too long. In fact, I have two children, I'm a parent, in the Madison Metropolitan School District, and I hear daily when they're in school about the stresses not only of the students, but the teachers because of underfunding. And so that's the first place I would put resources. I would increase the special education reimbursement to 90%, which is what we give voucher schools. I would increase the support of the schools in general aid. I would also, and there's actually a bill that we did with Representative Cruz and Representative Phelps on this issue, and that I'm disappointed that my Republican colleagues didn't move that bill. And so we have something ready to go that we could use the state surplus in a way that benefits women, children, and working families, especially children across the state. And then that would lower property taxes. That's the big thing that I know families are struggling with affordability. And so if we can lower their property taxes, they aren't having to pay for referenda that they keep getting in school districts across the state. We can actually put money back in families' pockets.
Okay. Well, what guardrails, if any, would you support to protect our environment, health, property values, and household budgets from large projects such as hyperscale data centers and concentrated agricultural feeding operations?
Well, I'll talk about big tech. Big tech and the data centers that they want to put across the country and here in Wisconsin. They have no interest in the people and the benefit of Wisconsinites. They're interested in profit. They're profiteers. And so we need to rein them in. That's the first thing I will say. They are here to make money, and so we need to put guardrails in. And I actually supported a bill AB 722, that actually put in place mechanisms so that those profiteers would actually have to pay back the state for their resources that they're using and make sure that ratepayers aren't completely fleeced. And we need to be really, really conscious of this, because I think folks get really excited about the jobs that they bring, that the economic development they'll have in our municipalities, but there are long-term effects. We cannot be myopic about this. And so that bill was a start that I mentioned, but there's more that we need to do to slow down their interests, because they aren't interested in Wisconsinites. They're only interested in profit.
Okay. Well, what, if anything, should the state legislature do to improve election processes and safeguard election integrity?
So, I think the biggest threat to elections is from the federal government, is from President Trump. I mean, he's still relitigating 2020. I mean, our elections are secure. I believe in our election system. I trust the Wisconsin Supreme Court to safeguard our elections. And so we all need to make sure that the municipalities, all 1,850 of them, have what they need to run their elections. And that's why I authored a bill that would actually give grants to municipalities so that they could have what they need to run elections safely and securely. We should pass that bill. And we need to make sure that we tamped on election alarmism, because our elections, the biggest threat to them is Donald Trump and the federal government.
All right. Well, share with our audience an example of an effort with which you've been involved that demonstrates how you can be effective in creating policy change.
I have to tell you, I mentioned I worked at the UW School of Medicine and Public Health. And what I did there prior to entering the legislature, and what I did there was work on maternal child health, improving our outcomes, because we have alarming bad outcomes for infants, especially in communities of color that are born in our state. And when I saw that we were one of the last 2 states in the nation that didn't cover moms postpartum, we only covered them, vulnerable mothers, 60 days after birth. And these are mothers that are on Medicaid, which is almost 40% of the births, Andrea, in our state. We were one of the last 2 states. Well, good news. We actually got Speaker Voss to bring that bill to the floor. We passed it. It actually goes into effect this July 1st, this week, so that over 17,000 mothers will actually have care the year after they give birth. And so we are going to improve our outcomes for moms and babies. In fact, states that have done this, the other 48, now there's only 1 left, and that's Arkansas. I don't know what Governor Huckabee's going to do, but we are at least not the last one. Their infant mortality rates have declined by 50%. And so we're going to see those improvements here in Wisconsin, and I can't wait.
Right. What other priorities do you have that we may not have addressed already?
Yeah, I mentioned this when you asked me the question about data centers. Big tech is not our friend. And they are finally being held accountable, those billionaire CEOs. I don't know if you saw this, but this year, finally, the courts held them accountable. KDM versus Meta was in the California Superior Court in Los Angeles. And they actually, the court found for the plaintiffs, the children and the parents who have been harmed by social media. And those social media platforms were designed to addict children. And if you look at the documents in discovery, you will see it plain and simple. They say if we hook them early, we keep them through adulthood. And those distractions don't help their learning, don't help their well-being, don't help families. And so what we need to do is rein them in. And so I'm working hard at the state level to do that. We also need to make sure our communities understand that the fragment distraction does not help learning or the attention we need for our children, for they need to grow and develop.
Okay. What else would you like to say to our viewing audience as we complete this interview?
Yeah, I'm a dedicated public servant. As I mentioned, I've spent my career working for women, children, and working families. I like my job. I like serving the people of Wisconsin and Assembly District 77. I look forward to continuing my work because there's so much to do. After 15 years of Republican control, we're actually now at the point that we can take the agenda, control it, and pass good progressive policy for the people of Wisconsin. Our time is now.
All right. Well, I want to thank Renuka Mayadev for speaking with us, and thank the viewing audience for taking the time to know your candidates. I want to remind everyone the general election is Tuesday, November 3rd. Every election is important. Please vote. And on behalf of Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, I thank you for joining us.